All things Ichabod football here on this Tuesday evening at Skinny Sports Bar and Grill. Jake Laban with you for the next hour as we will recap the victory for the Washburn Ichabods, a 45-3 win over the Lincoln Blue Tigers. We'll talk about a few standouts. Here's some highlights as the Washburn Ichabods 1-0 on the year, ranked 22nd in the D2.com football poll, receiving votes in the coaches poll. Washburn 1-0. They're going to take on the Central Missouri Mules on the road at Bud Walton Stadium. 7 o'clock kickoff, 6:30 pregame coverage right here on your home for Washburn Athletics, Country 106.9, mycountry1069.com. That'll be on Thursday. The Mules 0-1. They fell to Pittsburgh State. We will preview the Mules under new head coach Jim Zabota. No longer there. He is now with former Mules head coach Willie Fritz down at Tulane. We will we'll preview Josh Lamberson's Missouri Mules here to finish up this edition of the Washburn Coach. We are here at Skinny Sports Bar and Grill. It is a Tuesday. That means it is Taco Tuesday. And yes, for the second straight week, I have taken advantage of the tacos here at Skinny's Sports Bar and Grill right here on Tuna Gauge. Fantastic. You cannot beat them. And they are loaded. You've got plenty of food. 4 tacos is plenty enough for me. Throw in some chips and queso, and you got yourself a meal every single Tuesday here at Skinny Sports Bar and Grill. We got a lot to get to. As head coach Craig Schurig, the all-time winningest coach in Washburn history, got win number 131, win number 113 in the MIAA. Washburn has now won 8 straight home games, and that is a pretty impressive stretch considering how good this MIAA league is. But head coach Craig Schurig joining us, and are you going to get some tacos here in a little bit? Is that the plan?
It must be Tuesday if it's Taco Tuesday, right? Yeah, absolutely.
Well, when it comes to this opener, the goal is to be 1-0. You can't do any better than 1-0. You want to try to do a few things, but the game against Lincoln, you know the opponent is not the standard of the MIAA. Right. It's kind of that needs to be said. But did you feel like, hey, you know what? We played well. We got to have a lot of guys play. You got your, second string quarterback in, and Jared Taylor. You got your third and fourth string running backs in. Played a bunch of D linemen, linebackers, and everything. So how would you kind of put everything into a view for the game against Lincoln, winning 45-3?
Yeah, I thought it went well. Like you said, we a couple goals we had. We wanted to not play mistake free, but play pretty sound, and I thought we did. We didn't make a lot of mistakes. We did have one turnover, and we played pretty good offense, defense, and special teams wise. Moved the ball well. Probably didn't run the ball as well as we would like till the second half, and wanted to play a lot of guys, and we did. We were able to kind of take control of the game fairly early. I was impressed with Lincoln with the amount of time they've had with those guys. They're a pretty young team. But they were real sound up front with their O&D line. That's been a big improvement for them. They had some skilled guys that were good. I thought their quarterback did a nice job. They gave us some stress, too, so we had some uncomfortable times. Like right before the half, they got a field goal and moved. We were wanting to get the ball back and do a 2-minute drill, and we couldn't. So they gave us a little bit of stress in the locker room, kind of, hey, guys, we got to, we gave up a big play. We had a roughing the punter, and I thought it was a pretty good attempt. Our guy, thought he tipped it, but, wasn't deemed that way. But he gave a good effort with it, and that gave him a first down, and they moved the ball well there. We had a turnover. Our defense toughened up inside the scoring area. So Lincoln moved the ball, and it gave our defense some stress, but I think our defense toughened up when it needed to. But overall, when we watched film, the guys that started the game played pretty well, and the guys that we put in played well. They had really good effort, and we thought they played hard. And that's what you're really after as a coach. You want your guys to play hard and play sound and not do, not have silly penalties and things like that. And for overall, I thought we graded out pretty good.
that was a much better Lincoln team this year than last year. And you mentioned it up front.
Yep.
That team was a lot better. I mean, they had some good-sized guys up front. They got their hands on a couple of balls, pushed the line. So this was not a 76-12 win like it was last year. This was a much better team, and that you still won 45-3.
Yeah, and they had 2 other scoring opportunities. In one, we got a turnover on like the 3-yard line. If they punch it in, it's kind of a stressful game there in the first half.
Mm-hmm.
We felt like we would, as the game wore on, we could wear them out maybe with our depth and our leadership. We have guys that are juniors and seniors, and they had a ton of freshmen and sophomores. So if they keep their guys, they'll be much improved next year. Their quarterback, big 6'6" kid, got rid of the ball fast. I thought they had a good plan. He didn't hold the ball very long, and so they got rid of it quick on screens and quick passes. Their running back, we probably had too many missed tackles, and that you're going to get some of that. And you saw those, if people watched some of the TV games, you don't tackle a lot in fall ball. You're trying to keep your guys healthy. So sometimes guys maybe have the angle, and then they just haven't done it enough. And that does take practice. It's tougher than you think, and so hopefully we're a lot better tackling. You can't have some of the missed tackles that we had, as we play the better teams.
We're talking with head coach Craig Shurg of the Washburn Ichabod's here at Skinny Sports Bar and Grill. The Washburn Ichabod's beat the Lincoln Blue Tigers 45-3. We'll kind of go through some more of the highlights coming up here in a little bit. Washburn taking on Central Missouri coming up on Thursday on the road in Warrensburg. 7 o'clock kickoff, 6:30 pregame coverage here in your home for Washburn Athletics Country 106.9. Kellen Simoncic, his very first start as a starter, and he goes 15 of 21 for 351 yards, 3 touchdowns, and he put the ball on the money.
He did.
He's got tremendous arm strength. That one crossing route that he zipped it right to JJ, that was a great throw. Overall, how would you assess how Kellen Simoncic played?
Yeah, I thought he did really well, just like you said. And I think, we got off. I think one of the best plays he had was real early in the game. They drove the ball a little bit. We start off with the ball. And their punt team did pretty well compared to the past that we've had. And we just couldn't judge it. It kept landing short, and then it rolled, and we get up in there. So we gave up too much yardage in that. But anyway, we're on the 10, and so it's 3rd and long, and if we don't get it, we have to punt the ball from our 10-yard line with a new punter and all that, and they could get off to a good start. And he drilled the ball, like you said, on a crossing route by JJ. So we get the first down. Very next play, we throw a screen pass to JJ, and he's gone. So that got us off to a fast start. And our receivers, really did a nice job of getting separation. And Kellen did a really good job of giving them very catchable passes. And he threw a great ball to Peter Affle. Peter didn't score on it. All he does is catch touchdowns. He actually went down on the 5 or something.
I know.
But it was a deep ball, and they had a clear rusher. So they beat our tackle. Our protection was really good all night. He didn't get sacked. But we had one where our offensive tackle maybe overset. Their DN was pretty slick, and he had a nice little spin move, which you don't see a lot of spin moves, but it worked.
D2 level.
You're like, no, spin, and the spin move worked. And he was right in Kellen's face as he threw the ball. So he got hit, threw a perfect ball, and Peter had created nice separation, caught the ball, got tripped up, and we scored, I think, on the next play. But he did. He really did. And they had one other touchdown to Colin Wilson. Looked like he was wide open, but it was a really good read by him. Sometimes what a corner will do, he'll show like he's playing, your outside receiver pretty heavy. He's kind of peeking on the inside. We ran a little out route with JJ, and that corner was going to come flying in on that out. And so if Kellen threw it to JJ, it would have been hardly any gain or a pretty good hit on JJ. Kellen saw the corners with his eyes inside and then threw down the sideline. Looked like, hey, that's an easy throw, but it really wasn't. It was a good read, great throw. He's got a strong arm. And I just thought our timing with our receivers for first game was really good. And Kellen did it, like you said, and the other thing is we had quite a few like RPOs, run pass And sometimes the quarterback can get a little greedy and keep throwing it. And he handed it off plenty, and kind of took what the defense gave him.
When it comes to his personality, he's not. I would say he's not kind of an alpha where he's a yeller or
Right.
a screamer. But you need your quarterback to be vocal. You
Yep.
need your quarterback to be the leader of the team.
Right.
And even if he's not, the in-your-face type of,
Yep.
of guy like, a Tom Brady or
Yeah.
somebody like that. And he said, he's working on being a little bit more vocal. He doesn't like the limelight. You can
Yep.
kind of sense that. But how do you think he handled, directing traffic and going up to teammates and say, hey, good job to his own line? And because that's all part of being the quarterback.
Right. No, I thought he did real well, and he's picked up on that really good. And then off on the sidelines, just communicating with guys. And if he did miss something, or he maybe hurried up the cadence too much, and we didn't get the line set with what their blocking assignments, he's like, yeah, I'll get on that, and communicated well with the linemen. So yeah, after the snap, kind of seeing things well. When you ask him, hey, what do you like? What he mentioned was spot on. So you kind of want to have that kind of verbiage with your quarterback. You ask them questions. What are you seeing? Just to see kind of where their head's at. And he saw things really well and did a really good job.
I want to give a little love to the defense because a lot of it was how is Kellen Samansa going to handle that first start. I mean, when you got some guys named J.J. Letcher, Peter Apple, Colin Wilson, you got a lot of weapons,
Yep.
which is very, very helpful. Defensively, I thought the D-line played very, very well, but the one big stat that jumps out to me, and you kind of mentioned it already, that's 1 of 4. They got the football in the red zone 4 times, and they only scored 1 time, and that 1 time was a field goal.
Yep.
That's how you win the MIAA. That is how you end up being a playoff team, because last year, your defense, and I want to make sure I get this correct, last year the defense gave up just 50% touchdowns in the red zone. That means every other time they're not scoring a touchdown. That is so big in the MIAA, because you got to score 30 points to win a football game in the MIAA. If you don't, you're not going to win many games. You got to score. And defensively, it's a little different now. It's not, okay, keep them under 17. No, it's keep them under 30.
Yeah.
Well, 1 of 4. They showed up when it mattered.
Yeah, and teams, like you mentioned, teams go fast. Teams spread it out a lot more. They're not running, big personnel and just running the ball. So the clock doesn't run when the incomplete passes and things like that. So teams are scoring more, like you mentioned, more offensive plays. So you can get movement, but as long as you're tough to score on, you're going to have a good day. And that's what we did mention that. Coach Watkins in his talk to the defense, hey, they had some plays, they moved the ball, they did some nice things, Lincoln did. But the bottom line is, when they got in the scoring zone, we really stiffened up and did some great things, and guys made plays. And we feel like we have a fast enough defense, guy, playmaking ability. Like you mentioned, I thought our D-line, we didn't get a ton of sacks, but part of it was how they got rid of the ball, but we did make him hurry a lot. And probably their best running was the quarterback escaping, which that's not all bad either. And then you get a chance to hit the quarterback. So, I thought our defense played very well.
That was great to see the Washburn defense taking care of business against the Lincoln Blue Tigers. Washburn 1-0 as they beat Lincoln. They'll be taking on Central Missouri. We'll get to a few more of the individual efforts in the game against the Lincoln Blue Tigers. We got some highlights that you'll hear coming up, and you forgot about it. I know you did. See, you forgot about it. It is edition number 2 of questions for head coach Craig Schurig. I have tracked down a few of your former players, and when they said, I kind of explained them, hey, this is what I want you to do. They're like, oh, this is really cool. So we've got a former Washburn Ichabod who has asked you a question, Coach. You have no idea who it is, and he doesn't, I promise you. There are only 2 people who know who the question is from, and it's me and it's Evan back at the Country 106.9 studios. So that'll be coming up, and will be interesting. Who knows? It might be about a story. Those are some of the highlights from the Washburn 45-3 victory over the Lincoln Blue Tigers. Mixed in a few touchdown passes, as well as some nifty running from Tyler Bowden. A couple big turnovers, a fumble near the goal line, a sack, and yes, I am all about pro celebration. The officials need to relax a little bit. You only get 11 games. You do something great. Let's have some fun with it. Everybody says act like you've been there before. It doesn't happen very often, so let's have some fun when you do get there. And a terrific interception. I'm not going to lie to you, as we were talking with head coach Craig Schurig of the Washburn Ichabod's here on the Washburn Coaches Show. Craig, I did not realize Derek McClendon had that kind of hands.
that was really good play. And I asked him about it, and he said, yeah, that quarterback was just staring it down. And he made it, just like you coach it, like Coach Luke coaches him. And he made it just a perfect break on that angle. And the kid thought he had a completion. He threw a nice ball, thought he was going to get a slant over the middle, and Derek undercut it.
Caught it hands out in front like a wide receiver would catch it. And
that was nice.
And we asked Grant Bruner afterwards, we go, did you know Derek had those kind of hands? And he laughed. He goes, no, I really do.
Waiting for game day.
Yeah, he says, I like to say that I got the best hands of the linebacker unit, but I didn't know he had it in them. But some great plays. Mentioned a few of them already from the Washburn Ichabods. But the Washburn offense put it together very, very well. When you look at overall the offensive side of things, if you churn out 585 yards on 68 plays, that is an efficient offense. And we're probably going to do this a lot, but J.J. Letcher had the quietest 177 yards receiving that I maybe have ever seen. You hold your breath when he touches the football. I liken, now they play different positions, but Deuce Vaughn of K-State, when he has the football, you go, okay, what's going to happen here? When it comes to J.J. Letcher, same thing. Catches a slant route. There's one guy, and he made 3 people miss, and then he's gone.
Yeah.
Like, you hold your breath a little bit. At 177 yards on 5 targets, 5 receptions, 1 touchdown, you're running out of superlatives for the kid.
Yeah, and that screen pass that he caught, and he caught the first down, and he catches a screen, and they defended it really well. We had a couple nice blocks in there, but they had him corralled, but he has such a quick burst. And then he's creative. He felt the guy diving for him, kicked up his legs just in time. And then the guy has a great angle on him, and he cuts across his backside and then beats him, So he just has that creativity. And like you said, he's just fun to watch. And whether it's a punt return, kickoff return, screen, catching a little wheel route, whatever it might be, he's a lot of fun to watch. And he actually – blocking hasn't been his specialty, but he did some decent blocking too. We had some plays where we tried to get the ball on a little arrow route, little quick screen, and he and Peter Apple did a real nice job blocking, and that set up another touchdown because we got a first down off of it, and that set up Pete's big play, and then we scored off of it. But it's kind of fun listening to your highlights. You and Fletch, you can hear him giggle some, and it's pretty cool. I don't get to listen to those until your show, so hopefully we pop a lot of highlights. They're fun to listen to.
On the offensive side, I want to stay with Tyler Bowden. Not the biggest kid, but man, hips. He's got some strong hips, and I asked Peter during our Washburn player profile. I said, "Who's the fastest guy on the team?"
Yeah,
and because he's up there.
Yeah, he is.
Peter's up there. You mentioned JJ. You mentioned a freshman who got in some playing time back in corner, Braylon Alexander.
Yep,
and then he mentions Tyler Bowden.
Yeah, Tyler can run.
And he can fly, and you can see it. You really can.
He can. He's not sneaky fast. He's just fast. Where he is he's sneaky strong because he's small, but he's a pretty powerful kid. Sometimes he'll take it. We don't run him up in there very often, but he'll run power and some of our A-gap power player or blast play or whatever, and he gets through there and he makes more yards than you think he will. And then his specialty, of course, is that if there's some opening, like the runs he had on last Thursday, he just makes guys miss. And it's quick and has that JJ jump cut. and he can explode, and he can catch the ball out of the backfield too. So, he's another one that we have to find ways of getting the ball. And he's sneaky strong though. He can pass pro. He can block. Pretty powerful kid.
Yeah, I didn't have the jump cut that JJ and Tyler Bowden definitely do. That is for sure. We're talking with head coach Craig Shirk here at the Washburn Coaches Show here at Skinny Sports Bar and Grill. It is a Tuesday, which means it is Taco Tuesday. Come on out. Every single Tuesday, you can come out to Skinny's. They've got terrific 75-cent tacos, and these are not your light tacos. These are heavy-duty tacos. 4 of them filled me up perfectly. And then you throw in chips and queso. You cannot beat it here at Skinny's. We'll be having the next Coaches Show on Thursday of next week because we had the first 2 games obviously on Thursday. Ichabod's taking on Central Missouri coming up in about 48 hours. Kickoff is going to be 48 hours, pregame actually, 48 hours from right about now at 6:30 on your home for Washburn Athletics Country 106.9. So we'll have that. So we'll have our next Coaches Show will be on Thursday of next week, previewing against the Nebraska Kearney Lopers. So want to mention that next Thursday will be the Coach Show coming out here to Skinny Sports Bar and Grill. Defensively, you give up 3 points. I don't care who you play. That's a good effort. Tackling machine, Grant Bruner, ended up with 10 tackles, and he's just always around the football, always around the football, and that is something that you want to see out of your linebacker. But I thought Grant had a very, very good day when it comes to that, and he's the voice of the defense. There's no question about that when number 43 speaks, everybody listens.
Yeah, he's the leader of that group, and we're sure glad he came back to play again, and he's staying healthy, knock on wood.
Mm-hmm.
But he really made some nice plays. They had kind of that spread system, ride option, quarterback would take off. He made some really nice tackles on him in the open field. He made some really nice open field tackles. And he kind of gets everyone lined up and gives us a lot of confidence with his leadership out there, and takes great angles, really smart football player, physical, all the things you want in your linebacker, Grant is. And we just hope he continues to play like that throughout the season. And he's really a key person for our defense and team.
I thought Shannon Ross played very,
Yes,
very
he
well. At the secondary level, Patrick Altenor got after the quarterback a little bit as well, and you got 9 guys on the defensive line. But how did you think a couple of the new guys played? Brent Peevler got a lot of action in the game, played very, very well. I thought Jamison Phelps. That's one thing is they don't have a great passing attack, but they never really tried to throw at Jamison. Fletch during the broadcast said, why not try to go after a guy who didn't play at all last year? I thought some of the newer guys really played well.
Yeah, and they threw a couple deep, and Christian was over the top of it, made a real nice play.
Yeah, nice PBU at the end there.
Pass breakup, kept fighting for it. Like you mentioned, Jamison having him back, he made a real nice tackle. The running back had kind of kept cutting back, looked like he was going to break it. Then Jamison just stuck him and put him down, and then I think we got either a missed field goal right after that. So. But J-Mo did a really good job. But we played a lot of guys, and that's one thing when we went back and watched the film. Those guys did what they were supposed to. They did their job. They did it pretty well, and they played hard. And a bunch of offensive linemen that really haven't gotten many snaps, they did. Some D linemen across the board, guys played, and some of them got in on special teams. And the thing that was nice is when the person went in. They did a good job, and that's what you asked them to do, and so they earned hopefully more playing time, and that's what it's all about. They practice well, they work hard, and then it's tough because you put a lot of work in for those games, and we have depth, so when we have opportunity to play guys, we want them to play and play well, and they did.
You mentioned special teams. Got to give a shout out to our special teams. First of all, Cameron Lake and his bionic leg. They're not even close to being returned.
Yeah, it's fun.
Just incredible, the height and the distance that Cameron had on the first kicks. And this year, credit to you guys, you learned, hey, you can't trot him out there every single time against Lincoln. Yeah. So Gavin Wilhelm came in, did a nice job for the lefty. So I thought that was great. And freshman Jake Zeller, the punter, he had some fantastic ones, 54-yard average, big boomer of 61 yards. I thought he.
Yeah, we were backed up the one time. It was in the second half. We didn't move the ball. We were punting from like our own 15 or so, and we exchanged big field position, and that's when he got off that big one. But I was real proud of Jake and Gavin also. Gavin went in there and supplied us some really good kickoffs. Again, his ball's going to spin a little different, go a little different for those returners. He can also punt. Jake did a really good job holding. So, yeah, I was pleased with those guys. And it's tough, man. It's nerve-wracking your first game. So it was nice to get them their experience.
We're talking with head coach Craig Sherg of the Washburn Ichabod's. We'll get another quick timeout. Coming up next, it'll be our second edition of our questions for head coach Craig Sherg from former Ichabod players. We are going to get to that. We will also preview the Mules. Washburn is going to try to do something that they haven't done in about 5 tries against Central Missouri. We'll get to that coming up as well here at the Washburn Coaches Show live at Skinny Sports Bar and Grill. get their fantastic cheeseburger and fries at Skinny Bar and Grill. Let's take win 45 to over the Lincoln Blue Tigers. Some of the impressive numbers. Lincoln is just 6 of 20 on third down as well. Lincoln 34 rushes, just 63 yards. That is less than 2 yards a carry. I can promise you they hit the goal when it comes to that. And if you go to the Washburn Athletic Department at Petro Allied Health Center, I'm guessing you're going to see a lot of those W's on the defensive and the offensive side as Washburn taking care of business. The defense looked terrific. The next time Washburn is going to be at home will be on Saturday, not this Saturday, next Saturday, when they take on Nebraska Kearney. It will be Family Day. Now, Washburn is putting together a terrific promotion. You can go to Hy-Vee and you can get free tickets. Free, as in $0. Free 99. You can go and watch Washburn play at Yager Stadium against a really good, ranked team in Nebraska Kearney. Went to the playoffs a year ago. It is going to be a terrific game on Saturday of next week. You need to get to Hy-Vee, get your free tickets, and come watch a really good football game. KU and K-State, they're not top 25 teams, and they're not playing a top 25 team, so come on out and watch Washburn take on Nebraska Kearney. First, they got to get Central Missouri, do that game against the Mules here in just a little bit. But it is time for our second edition of questions from a Washburn Ichabod. I first one to give you a softball because it was easy. It was basically what game you want back from your 21 years, and you game that made me get upset too. So thanks for that, Coach. The game in 2007 against them in Canyon, Texas. Washburn led 14-0. Way more details on that, but we don't want to talk about that anymore. So I reached out to a former football player who had a question for head coach Craig Schurig, and here is that question. So that was Kason Lehman, the former Washburn wide receiver. And Kason's a situation because you did not recruit Kason.
Right.
Kason was already here at Washburn, but wants to know, what were you thinking then when you got it and everything from now until then? And not a surprise, that question coming from Kason.
Kason,
using manifest and all that. He's a cerebral thinker, that
very
Kason.
true. I knew. Great wakeboarder, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And when we came on, obviously recruiting, that we changed the offense and defense, but we had some really good kids. Was one of them was here from the coaching staff, and we kind of were moving into a different direction with the personnel wise. So you had guys like Rashawn Bland, who were an option type halfback. We made him a true fullback. He was a great fullback. And then like a guy like Kason, I think he came as possibly a quarterback. And then he was like a slot guy, and then we made him a receiver. And Kason had great hands. Made one of the bigger catches that we've had in our early career. He caught a bender or a streaks bender that beat them in of that championship team. and was fearless middle, and really became a receiver and was a really good leader for us. But yeah, we talked about that when we first started. We said begin with the end in mind. Whether you start your day that way or your career path. And we talked about their college career that way. And then you work and you plan ahead. So when you're a freshman, you want to be an all-conference, all-American. You want our team to be win the MIAA, have a chance at the playoffs, national championship, and those got to begin somewhere, and then work towards that. And they call that the process and things like that. So, but yeah, it's been quite a change. I mentioned when we first. We had some of those morning runs out on Moore Bowl, and it would be frosted and
lumpy grass.
And lumpy, like you said. And actually, that first year we used the high grass and lumpy field to our advantage. Sometimes it rained, and we liked the rain games. It slowed everybody down. Fast track because those, we tried to use it to our advantage. But yeah, like a little bit at a time, and it's one of those things where the days or the years are fast. You look back, like it's taken a long time, but it blew. And some of the best facilities, best support in the country at the Division II level. Some of our indoor facility and our strength facility, it's as good as what K-State, better. Yeah, it's been quite a transformation in Kaysen and that group that hung with us. It was tough. That first year, we won 3 games, and I beating Emporia at home, and we had no business beating Emporia. Very good, but the kids hung, played hard, and we won. We were 3 games at 5, and then we win the 3, but Geisen and his in there and had to change the whole philosophy, whether it was offense or defense. Awfully proud of those guys, and it was great to hear from him. And I know he was down in Florida,
Yep.
And doing well, and we're awfully proud of Casey.
I want to you and feel pretty small when he said so.
Yeah.
He
said,
begin and he. I don't know if you know that wasn't yesterday. That was 2002.
Yeah, right.
That he remembers that, and I call him up and stayed in touch with Case because Kaysen was one of the guys that I looked up to when I was playing. And question for good, he goes, oh, and so, but when he said begin in mind, that's 22 years later. He's regurgitated that for you.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, it is. It is neat. You don't know. Sometimes you have talks with the team, and you have certain standards or certain mission for your team. And we started out, and Pastor Hicks kind of gave us this in year 2 or 3. So it's like faith. So we've hung. Our vision of our team is we physical, and teams. And say, hey, that's a physical team, and they played smart and they played hard or relentless. So we say physical, smart, relentless. So those are our key terms. And to get to that, there's a lot of work involved with it. So to be physical, you got to be great in the weight room. You got to recruit those kind of guys, and to be relentless, train all the time, and all that. And then smart, you got to do well and watch film and do all those things. But those were kind of the standards that we tried to. And but again, with the end in mind was something every year for 20 fall camp about that, and bring it up again, and hopefully kids. When you're that young, when you're 17, 18, 19, 20, there's something you can do about that end in mind. There's a lot you can do in college about it. And but Washburn's such a great school too. A guy like Kaysen was, very thoughtful, very good student. A lot from Washburn teachers. So you have kids that are sharp at Washburn. That's what makes it fun to coach those guys. You want them focused as a football coach, no question, but you also want them to be great students, and you want them better in their as fathers, husbands, and all those things.
And that class is an example because you mentioned you didn't recruit them. They come in, they win 3 games, they 4 games, they win 8 games, and then they go to the playoffs. Team that you didn't even recruit.
Yep.
I don't know if did you know that the Kaysen's an author? He has
I
a
did.
book out.
I believe that.
He has a book out.
Well,
You
that's-
can get that on Amazon.
I'll be
yeah.
darned.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
got a book out.
And he was
so-
a heck of an athlete. I mean, he was a competition wakeboarder.
Yeah.
And so he could actually, like, he would catch the ball, and you could see some of that, like, ballet type gymnastics work, and he'd land, and calm as could be. And the other story about Casey was funny. So we did have him as backup quarterback, and right away quarterback got hurt. So anyway, we're at Central Missouri actually, who were getting ready to play, and quarterback gets injured again. So Casey, he's our third quarterback. He just goes in there, and we at that time you huddled and you had to run, try to get the plays in. You signaled. They had a wristband, and then he just dialed stuff up on his own. He threw I know he threw at least one touchdown pass. We're like, what did you call? That wasn't what we called. He said, well, I couldn't understand the play, so I just told him to run a wheel route. And he was just really calm. He could not upset Kaysen. And Central was really good. He kind of ran around, just chucked it up in the air, touchdown, and he's just easy going, like he was like a California cool,
Yeah, You bet. So that was our second edition of questions from former Ichabod players to head coach Craig Sugar. We got a couple more lined up coming up in the next couple of weeks. We'll get our final timeout. Coming up next, we'll preview the Mules of Central Missouri as Washburn takes on the Mules in Warrensburg coming up on Thursday, 7 o'clock kickoff, 6:30 pregame coverage. We'll wrap up this edition of the Washburn Coaches Show coming up next. week. It'll be on Thursday, the Washburn Coaches Show, as we will recap the game against the Mules of Central Missouri. The Washburn beat the Mules last year 29-10 in a phenomenal defensive effort that really started the Washburn Ichabod season, beating Central Missouri, who's a really good football team, and they are still a good football team. Some of the best athletes in the conference always seem to head to Warrensburg, and playing Central Missouri in Warrensburg is very difficult to do. Not many teams go to Warrensburg and get a win. The Ichabods are going to be looking for their first victory in Warrensburg in 5 tries. This is a good football team. No more Jim Zaboda. So he is gone. He is now the OC at Tulane, where former head coach of Central Missouri, Willie Fritz, is at. Well, they bring in former quarterbacks coach at Central Missouri, Josh Lamberson. Now, Josh Lamberson played quarterback for Northwest Missouri State, was the head coach for the Nebraska Kearney Lopers for 2 years, then headed to be the OC at Abilene Christian. So you kind of have an idea of what he's going to bring to the table. You kind of know what kind of offense he's going to bring, but a lot of new faces on this Mule team. Not a lot of returners, a lot of new people and new spots and everything. They're coming off a loss to Pittsburgh State. They fell 21-10 in Pittsburgh against a very veteran Pittsburgh team. So it's a little bit of, well, we don't quite know what they're going to do because it's a new coach, but yet you still kind of know. And this is going to be a team that is in a desperate situation. They started out 0-2 last year, and they don't want to do that the same situation this year. So it's a dangerous game going to Warrensburg.
Yeah, and we feel pretty comfortable in watching their film. You know, what they did at Pitt is what they're going to do against us, but they do a lot of different things offensively and defensively. Like you mentioned, a lot of the staff is the same. Lambeau came in, is familiar with how they did things. So we anticipate them doing, what Central's always done. And they're pretty complex on offense, use a lot of formations, lots of motions,
shifts.
Shifts, and then they have a good run game. They keep you balanced, keep you off balance. Some nice play actions. They're going to try to pop some, deep crossing routes on you. Hopefully our D-line, again, puts good pressure on the quarterback so he can't, stand back there and, kind of pick us apart type thing. But they're going to be kind of what Central's always known for, and that's, pretty well-structured offense. And then defensively, they're aggressive. So more aggressive than what we saw last week, in particular with their coverages. They seem to come after Pitt quite a bit. They really limited Pitt's run game, but Pitt had some big pass plays on them because of that aggressiveness. So we'll kind of see, what their game plan is for us. They do, we anticipate them, they're one of those teams that has, 7, 8 coverages, and they'll use them all, and they'll have different fronts, and they'll have a odd man front, an even man front, do a lot, and they try to confuse you a little bit and try to out-execute you. But like you mentioned, their athletes are always good. They're one of the more physical teams in the conference, so it should be an excellent game. And we need to play well there. We haven't played real well in Warrensburg lately. Some of that has to do with the team that we're playing against. And they're a good team, and they play well at home, and they're going to be fired up for their first home game at night. So we got to play with a lot of poise, and hopefully our veteran group that we have, wins out in the second half.
It's kind of an interesting dynamic for an aggressive team. You think, big play, we need to go down the field. They're going to blitz and they're going to be man, so we need to go down the field. But sometimes the big play is a slant route that's caught by Colin Wilson, that's caught by Peter Affle, J.J. Letcher, and that can go 60 yards. So how do you balance trying to say, yeah, we get it, they're going to be in man coverage, we know that's going to happen, we don't have to throw it 50 yards in the air for a 50-yard play.
Yeah, hopefully, we can stay with our game plan, and you try to stay with what you're good at. We like to be balanced. We like to be able to run the ball and throw quick passes, play action, every once in a while, pump the ball deep. But you don't want to get out of your element where, hey, they're pressing the line of scrimmage all the time, so we're going to throw, 15 balls down the field. You got to take it in rhythm, and you can't let them disrupt your rhythm. And they're going to mix it up. They're not going to just, pin their ears back and come after us every down, because eventually you'll get beat that way. So they'll pick their spots, but they'll be scheme-wise, they'll be much more complicated than what we prepared for last week, and it'll be more like playing us. And so we see that every day, and it's nice. Our defense does a lot of different things. Offensively, we do quite a bit, so we should be prepared for what we see on Thursday.
Normally, when I think of Central Missouri, I always think of them throwing the football with Jim Zabota, but they've always seemed to have dynamic running backs. Now, they're gone. Kobe Wilkerson, both of their really good running backs are gone. What kind of running game do they got?
Yeah, Pitt, to be honest, Pitt kind of controlled the line of scrimmage on them, but they threw the ball a lot against Pitt. And I think they'll get back to trying to run the ball some on us and get back to that balanced offense that they're known for. And they got, in the second half, the score got to be where they were down more than 2 scores, so they went to throwing the ball a ton. But I anticipate them trying to stay balanced, use their good run game. They have a nice offensive line. It is nice to see those backs not back there. It seemed like they were there forever. And now we'll face some new ones, and they look fast. But again, Pitt did a nice job versus their run game.
Well, it's always a tough one. The good news is that it's only an hour 45 drive. You can go day of. Not a huge deal. It's a night game. Washburn taking on the Mules coming up on Thursday. 48 hours from right now. Either J.J. Letcher's going to be catching it or Cameron Lake's going to be kicking it, one of the two. Best of luck against the Mules.
Thank you, Jake. I appreciate it.
That is head coach Craig Schurig of the Washburn Ichabods, as Washburn 1-0 taking on the Mules, who are 0-1. They fell to Pittsburgh State 21-10. Got a late touchdown. Pitt State led that game pretty much throughout, 21-3. So 6:30 pregame coverage, 7 o'clock kickoff from Bud Walton Stadium in Warrensburg, and then we'll have the Washburn Coaches Show a week from Thursday from 6 to 7 right here at Skinny Sports Bar and Grill. Don't forget, the next home game will be a week from Saturday, Family Day against Nebraska Kearney. You can get free tickets at Hy-Vee. Very simple, very easy. So for head coach Craig Schurig, our special guest, which would have been Kason Lehman, always appreciate the former Ichabods coming back on. Evan back at the Country 106.9 studios. That will be it for the Washburn Coach Show. We'll talk to you on game day 24 hours from now, right here on your home for Washburn Athletics, Country 106.9.